Suns fans, you know what time it is in the PHX.
Empire of the Suns.
Phoenix Suns.
Empire of the Suns.
Hello there, and welcome to the Empire of the Suns podcast. My name is Kellan Olson, joined as always by Kevin Zimmerman. What's up, man?
Howdy. How's it going?
It's going good. I'm busy, man. I'm a busy man right now.
You are?
Doing a lot of shows, filming skits in the conference room. I got a lot going on, man.
Sometimes you do a show and a writing in the same day. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done these before after I've been on the shows, but I don't know. It feels different because I already talked about the Suns in like an 8-minute segment. Now we're going to do it in like 20 to 30 minutes, basically. But it's like my brain is slowly getting not trained, but retrained into radio talkie, where you talk differently because you're only talking for 8 minutes at a time on a certain subject matter.
Yeah.
And I'm so podcast pilled that
pilled.
Now I'm going back and forth. So
also when you say that,
a bit frazzled.
Also when you say the same thing in two different spaces,
yeah,
I feel like your brain has to just be like, it's fine. Like, you may have said this already, but these people who listen to this way, when I wrote it also, that's the third time I've said it. Yeah. So good luck with that.
Fortunately, this is a great subject matter to talk about because we could have been in here talking about 2 preseason games and been like, it's preseason, I don't know, whatever. They played basketball. But there was a lot to take away from both of these games. I'll give you 3 subject matters. Where do you want to go first? Rookies, threes, or point guard / big 3 play? Where you want to go?
Let's go with threes because I feel like that's where in my headspace is going to be the big, like, oh my goodness, thank you. People feel good seeing that.
42.5 a game over 2 games. It's quite a small sample size. They had, I think it was 19 of their first 29 shots yesterday against Detroit were from 3. They ended the night, I believe, north of 40 again, or somewhere around there. They were at 39 for the last game, so that would have made it, 44, 45, 46, quick math in there. The mid-40s. Preseason play is much like a blowout in the fourth quarter where guys are going through the motions, and when guys go through the motions, it's usually going to end in 3-pointers. So I don't want to fully read into this, but there are little changes in mindset from guys that you hope will stick. Kevin's been the most noticeable one to me. He only has 9 threes in these 2 games, so it's not like he's taken 100 in these 2 games, but there were a couple of semi-contested to contested shots that he took on catch-and-shoot situations where he loves to make the extra pass because he knows he's Kevin Durant, he's catching the ball in the rotation, make that one quick pass, that guy's going to be open. And it's like, well, you're Kevin Durant, you're one of the best 3-point shooters of all time, you should just always shoot it. And that mindset change, at least for him, in 2 preseason games, is there, and it's going to be a major difference if everyone else starts doing it. We've seen these upticks from Book before, so I'm not going to read too much into his stuff specifically, because I think there was either last year, 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, one of these years, they all blend together at this point, where he started taking more off-the-dribble threes a couple games in, and we were like, oh, new skill set, this is what he needs, and then it didn't really continue, so we'll see, but his mindset's there. Brad is the only one where it's like he's still getting there. It's like, just shoot the ball, Brad, and he's going to get there, but encouraging from everyone else.
I'm looking up stats before this podcast, and my big thing this year is I remember Channing Frye being on the Suns and Alvin Gentry begging him just to take more threes. I realize Channing Frye is a completely different player than Kevin Durant, but they do play kind of the same positions, whether it's 4 or 5. We can get into that a little bit if KD's actually at the 5 at all in the regular season. But and I know Kevin Durant's going to have someone sticking on him a lot harder than Channing Frye, but there are going to be those opportunities where if you kick it out, and even if his man's a foot off of where he should be, off of the 7-foot man slinging a 3, you just need that. And I was looking up the numbers because Kevin Durant has only gone over 400 threes attempted in a season, I think, once. When you look historically at what that is as far as, okay, power forwards, you have to go pretty far down to start hitting forwards. Antoine Walker's way up there, and obviously he hasn't played in a while, so that's crazy. But like Antoine Walker's, the Brook Lopez's, if KD boost his attempts from a career best a little over 400 500, 600 attempts over the course of the season. Like, I think he needs to do that to really make this team play that differently. And like, I get that there's other shooters on the floor. The rookies have question marks. We'll get to them in a sec, but he's the easiest one where it's like, show me a bad 3-point attempt by Kevin Durant, and I'll probably tell you that you're wrong. And I think they really need to push him specifically into a space of, you need to do this at historic levels for your career and blow past what you've done before.
It's interesting because you would assume off the top of your head that his top numbers in his career were in Golden State, just with the catch and shoot opportunities that he would have had on that team.
Yeah. He
was at 5 a game, which is towards the bottom half of his career averages. 6.7 threes per game is his career best. That was in the 2015-16 season with Oklahoma City when he was 27. One Golden State season actually was third, which with 6.1 per game, but his other two were around 5. So that was his second year in Golden State when he started taking more threes.
He did sniff 500, I should say. I was a little off, but I want him to blow past that. Yes.
He was at 5.4 last season, and I think you want to see him at least 6 and maybe even 7. Like I don't think that's crazy, especially with what he's going to be doing. Guess what, Kev? He's been in the corner, and he's fine with it because everything's going well. Like, he is okay with being in the corner, especially when it's going to set up open corner threes for him, especially when the offense being ran while he's there. He's good. He's fine with being there when it works, and it's been working in these 2 games. Anything you're noticing ball movement-wise, point guard-wise, that has led to the uptick in threes, or you just think that there's more of an individual mindset there?
I think it is ball movement. I mean, I'll say the threat of rim or 3 came out when Ryan Dunn yesterday caught the ball in the corner. Someone closed out on him, and he might have been able to get a shot off, but he drove, swung it to the weak side after he pretty much got to the rim, and the defense collapsed. But basically it was kick it back out, swing. I think it went through Tyus Jones, swing. It ended up basically back on close to where Ryan Dunn had initially caught it, like 3 or 4 passes later, and they got an open, I think, KD 3. And that's one where, like, just simple stuff we didn't see last year, where it's not anything super complicated, but they're just making sure that ball's whipping. And there's another play where Book, I think he drove 2, kicked it, and he quickly relocated, got a little screen along the baseline, and got himself a corner 3. And it was like a kind of like a Steph Curry, Klay Thompson type relocation type play, where again, you're not, setting a play up in the offense, but you're just reading, reacting, and stuff like that we didn't see enough last year. And that's what was just like, oh, okay, I know it's preseason, I know it's against the Detroit Pistons, but we're seeing stuff that, oh, they should have been doing this last year, and they just weren't.
The rookies have been really impressive. I think Ryan Dunn has been the guy from Summer League to now. He looks completely different, and I don't know what changed. I think that you can sit here and say, like, he's been really working hard and, like, taking more threes over the last, 3 months, but there's clearly a shift somewhere that is happening, and I think most of it honestly has to do with who he's on the court with, and not only just the pedigree of those guys, but the level of talent that he is around now. He has 11 3-point attempts in these 2 games. I think that I would say off the top of my head, half of those are somewhere between lightly contested to heavily contested, and he's just shooting the ball anyway. That's what you need to see from him, and what you also need to see is them going in, and he's 5 of 11 in these 2 games. So that is a huge stepping stone for him offensively. Like, the dribble the ball up and hit like a 3 off the dribble. He took like a step back 3 as well. It's like, okay, like that's great, the price that you pay, and the one that they will happily pay to get his confidence up. Like, they'll let him take those shots if it just means that he's going to remain confident offensively, which is where he's been at through 2 games. There's been a couple of plays off the dribble, and none of them have been like oh god kind of play that he makes, which he was prone to at Virginia. Off the top of my head, I think it was 35 assists to 42 turnovers, and then, of course, just 12 threes made in 2 years at Virginia, and he's got 5 in 2 preseason games from a deeper line. So, again, it's his jumper and the mechanics of it and all that stuff. It far more had to do with mindset when you watched him, and it looks like the mindset has shifted, at least for now, and we see this with guys all the time. Josh Okogie is one where he'll just randomly have a game where you stop shooting him and you're like, what happened? Like, you're not like 0 for 21 on your last attempts, just keep shooting. It happens with these guys, so he'll get there. And then the defense, look, like I've talked about it, like I think he's already one of the best defenders on the team. I think he's already one of the better perimeter defenders in the league just by getting here. And Cade Cunningham, who doesn't have a tremendous amount of burst and separation ability, just like clamped him up on a handful of possessions in this game. And that's why the offense is so important, because Kevin Durant had to guard Cade Cunningham to start this game. Like, that should not be something that he has to do. But if you look and you're like, who's going to guard Luka? Who's going to guard Kawhi? Who's going to guard LeBron? Who's going to guard these bigger guards or bigger wings?
Anyone on the Thunder?
I don't know. I don't know who guards those guys. And that is where Ryan Dunn, either becoming one of the first guys off the bench or becoming the eventual fifth starter on this team, would be a huge, big-time development for them. And there's intentionality behind what the coaching staff is doing as well, because the lineups that he's using. So in the first game, the one that blew everyone's minds was they went small. They didn't have a center out there, and Dunn was the guy in for Nurkic / Plumlee / Iguodaro. They ran a bunch of screening with Booker, which was great to see. That's more of the modern stuff that has escaped this team, especially since KD got here. But who Dunn was out there with in that game and then in this game as well, they clearly want to get a look at him with some of the key players on the team. Like, you just see rookies in his situation, and they're playing in the preseason with the bench mob, or they're playing mostly in the second half. And he was getting a lot of first half run with those guys. So was also Iguodaro. And I thought that was purposeful just to get their confidence up and just to see how they look with them, but also like a hold on, like, are these guys going to play right away kind of thing.
Mix and match.
Yeah.
Real quick on Ryan Dunn, what would you say, shooting aside, we already talked about it, would you say is the most impressive part of his game? Because to me, it's something kind of small, but just like how he gets across screens. And like usually like lanky guys, especially skinny lanky guys, like maybe they don't move super well when in tight spaces. You got to kind of squeeze past screens. But I thought he's super good at getting like his hips across the screener, but also staying attached and recovering once he's across the screen. Anything that stands out about his defense or something?
Yeah, that's the same thing for me, where we're going to see the DeAndre Ayton thing all year, where DeAndre would get a guard would switch DeAndre onto him, and then they would learn like, oh, I can't get past this guy.
Yeah.
And Dunn is the same way, where for his size and how like wide he is, like he's a wide 6'6", 6'7" dude, with like a bulky type of build. Those guys typically do not move their feet the way that he does. He is incredibly agile, and that helps with getting over screens, like you said, but it also just helps with staying in front of guys. Like, I'm sure Cade is used to squaring up against guards that look like Ryan Dunn and move like Ryan Dunn up and down the floor, but then in those little close quarters, he's getting by him or getting their hip. Like, Dunn didn't let him get by once. It was...
Or big boy you. And
exactly. Yeah. There was... I think on the first play where he followed Cade around screens and then forced the turnover, he actually shoved Cade off of him. Like, he shoved Cade like back 2 steps basically, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Cade's not a 10-year vet, but he's already a guy who has a resume and already a guy who's built up that NBA strength and conditioning program over a couple of years. So, I mean, we've talked about it all summer long. The appeal here is that Dunn is a guy who can guard those bigger wings, whereas if you're asking Royce to do it or Grayson to do it or Brad to do it or Book to do it, you're in trouble. You're just going to be in trouble, and you're going to have to be so much better in other places. It just makes them so much easier to envision as a great team that could beat anyone in any playoff round than it is right now, which is still possible, but it just makes it a lot easier. Also, when they drafted him, I think you and I were in here, I think I tweeted, like, there's your backup 5, because Oso is just ready to play right away. We're seeing all of that right now. It has not been a good 2 games for Plumlee. Plumlee is someone who, in his heyday, was so quick, and his first jump was crazy at his size, like a big, bulky guy like that as a 7-footer. He doesn't move like that anymore at his age. So there's some compensation there that he's doing and trying to do, where in those areas where on the short roll he can catch it from 14 feet, make a like swift move with the dribble and then get in. Like, that's just tougher for him to do now with his mobility. And that's where Oso is just going to be a complete difference maker for this team if he plays, because when you have a center who can catch the ball from 2 feet out and then just dunk it right away.
Yeah.
And not take like a second to get up. Like his first jump ability is there in a way that even like probably going back to JaVale probably is like the last center they had like that, because DeAndre would dunk the ball. Don't get me wrong. He would dunk the ball, but it would take him a second to get it up there. Oso had a couple of dunks already where he's just jumping right away. He had the lob game going, and then his passing is just crazy. Like the whip pass to the corner to Okogie from the top of the key, there's like 3 centers in the league who make that pass. Like I think it's Jokic, Embiid, and then Sabonis.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of the other really great passing bigs out there. And then Okogie did what he should with it. I'm surprised that Josh acted that quickly, because I would have been like, oh my God, I have the ball. Like no one makes that pass. They usually kick it to the wing, but he skipped it and threw a bullet. And I think the thing you watched with Oso on film is that the spacing at Marquette and then the spacing of the college game in general greatly hurt his passing.
Yeah.
Because it looked like he was just forcing passes all the time. But I think it's just because the passes were there. It's just he didn't have enough room. And now he has all this room in the world. Like that, the backdoor cut by Brad in the second game against Detroit, that's a cut that I don't know if you can make in the college game. And Brad has like an oasis over there. Like it's only him over there. And he makes that move. Brad, by the way, I should note, should have a much better year this year offensively, just off the fact that he can cut more now, or is going to cut more now. Again, I don't know why they weren't doing it last year, but backdoor cuts, like screening, slipping, all that kind of stuff. Brad's really good at that small, intuitive stuff like Book is, so, and Kevin is too. So with Oso, the only downside with playing him is you get even smaller. Rebounding becomes more of a concern. Oso does not come into the league as someone with a rebounding resume. No. So you would have to rebound even more. But the benefits everywhere else are just like, when you compare him to the player that he's competing for with minutes, the differences there are unlike anything else we're talking about on the roster.
I'm surprised about the size, and that makes me feel better about the rebounding and stuff and the physicality of him, because like I knew he had some pop to him, but just how quickly he gets to the rim before he even jumps. Like the jump's quick, and that's surprising too, but he's sucking the defenders like, oh no, they're in no man's land a lot on those lob passes. So that's impressive. But even going to the defensive end where, you know, Duran's a pretty big dude, right? He's a really good rebounder, and he physically was holding up okay against him. That's an NBA athlete. That's a top tier rebounder. Like, I'm kind of surprised at how he's looked just physically before we even get to the passing instincts, the little floater game, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, if he, again, like if those two rookies physically are in a good spot, their flaws will not keep them out completely. Now, again, if they can shoot at all, I don't think Oso's going to end up shooting very much at all this year.
It's done, yeah.
But if Dunn can shoot, if Oso's rim rolling indeed translates, then their stock should have been a lot higher in the draft, I think.
Oso's just processing really fast too.
Yeah.
Everything that we saw at Marquette is there. Like the backdoor pass to Monte with his left hand that eventually swung back around to him. He immediately, as the pass was coming to him, was moving towards Royce O'Neal already, and then as the ball got to him, he handed it off to Royce and like set a screen in case anyone was coming to him. Like that half second of being ahead is everything. Like that's that half second, that half step, that's what a lot of this comes down to in today's NBA, and he's got it.
It's throwing guys almost open in a way, kind of.
Yeah.
Or at least anticipating when they're going to be open when they start cutting. Yeah.
And it would take people or guys on this team like 20 games to figure out backdoor cuts, but it seems like everyone already understands. Like, yeah. Whenever the ball is up there in a DHO situation, if you feel like your guy's overcommitting, just take the backdoor pass, because even if the angle doesn't look great, Nurk can absolutely make that pass. I think Plumlee can at times. It's a little bit hit or miss with him, and then I think Oso Iguodala absolutely can. So it's encouraging to see them already kind of picking that thing up. It'll take time with other things. Like Dunn is a really good screener and a slipper, and he's had like a couple of good slips already. Slipper, I think I just like invented that, but slipping on screens, he's really good at it because he was just a play finisher at Virginia, and there's been a couple of times where the pass has been there and guys just haven't been looking for him, and it's like, it'll be there. Tyus Jones and Monte Morris don't turn the ball over. Do you have any thoughts?
That's useful. What's the assist to turnover ratio? Like 17-1 or something right now, I think, through 2 games between them. Sorry to make you do math.
Yeah, Tyus has 1 turnover. Monte has 0. 13 assists for Jones and 8 for Monte, so 21 assists, 1 turnover between the 2 guys.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't know what else to say to that. I think the Tyus Jones just initiating, I don't know how much we were really seeing like his leadership and stuff, but it does look different when Katie's just going to be like, yep, catch and shoot. That's my job. I think what's crazy about Katie again is he can do more as far as playing like he did for Team USA, where he doesn't have to apologize for just chucking, even though he has good players around him. And I think if they all get into that mindset of just, you can play that way, like they're going to be in a good spot. And Tyus Jones is in the leadership position to make them comfortable, I guess, to feel like they can do that, if that makes sense, and not overthink things, which I'm oversimplifying how last year went a lot. But I think they did genuinely try too hard to get each other involved.
Hopefully less effort felt.
Yes.
You want the same amount of effort to be there, but the forced feeling hopefully goes away. Nothing really to note on the injury front. Yusuf Nurkic is out currently, left middle finger injury. Yusuf played through a million things last year, so I'm sure this was one of those where he could have played through it if he wanted to or the team wanted him to, but it's the preseason. There's no reason for him with this kind of thing that could probably just get better in a week or two to at least sit out with it. Like, if this is the only injury that he has up until opening night, I'm very confident he's playing on opening night, and we're a week out. I think it was, I believe, Saturday when they said a week out, so he could play on Sunday in Denver. Suns play their first home preseason game on Friday. They host Detroit. Then they go to Denver, like I said. Then they got a couple of days off. Lakers at home on Thursday, October 17th, and then home openers, the season openers, the 23rd or 22nd?
I think it's 3rd.
I'm pretty sure it's the 3rd in that fancy new arena. It is October 23rd against the Clippers. That logo is weird. I don't like it.
It's intuitive. Is that what you're talking about?
Did you see that Kawhi clip?
No.
They're like, what's impressed you about your teammates? And then he rattled off all of his teammates and what they do, and then ended it by saying, I haven't really been that impressed. I'm sure it's going to go great over there. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with over there.
At least their arena will talk to your cell phone or whatever it does. I don't have no idea what it does. It probably does some cool stuff, to be honest.
That place looks wild. Balmerland. Looks kind of nuts. Worth the price of admission. All right. You want to talk about preseason games next week too?
Yeah.
After that Lakers game?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think we have a choice, but
I
want to too. So
wait, what day is the Lakers game?
Thursday.
Oh, aren't we doing a thing on? Is that next week? That's next week.
When you're doing the show?
Yeah. Is that a thing?
Why would I know about that, man? Why are you talking to me about things I should know that I don't know?
I've been told.
Come on, man. I'm sure we'll do a radio show and a podcast then, or we could
likely Friday, next Friday.
Let's just do the thing.
Yeah, do the thing.
Okay, we'll do the thing next week. You guys will hear the thing. Bye.